Okay, so now we are live. So if you want, then we can start.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. So we should open the quiz, all of us.
Yeah, let's do so. Okay.
My goodness, my computer is just going crazy today.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, it does. I think it's just sleepy like me, I guess. Okay,
It's in Argentina, it's already 1 in the morning, right?
it is 1 in the morning right now.
Wow, kind of
Yeah.
late.
It is. Yeah, and I have to get up like in 5.5 hours. So yeah, fun times with time shift with time difference. So okay, yeah, I'm there already. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Get ready.
Okay, so you want to start us off, Alex? You want to go for the first one or read the first one and we can all pitch in?
Yeah, that's work. Give me 1 second. Okay. Assume for Guatemala that the domestic price of coffee without international trade is higher than the world price of coffee. Who suggests that?
So I went for D for this one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's what I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So who's reading two? Or do you guys want me to continue reading it?
You can definitely read. You will have the honor of being our reader today.
Yay! Okay. Suppose the nation of Canada forbids international trade. In Canada, you can obtain a hockey stick by trading 5 baseball bats. In other countries, you can obtain a hockey stick by trading 8 baseball bats. These facts indicate.
Hey, if Canada were to allow trade, it would export hockey sticks.
Yeah. First
Yeah,
option.
yeah, I agree. Okay.
Okay. Patterns of trade among nations are primarily determined by cultural considerations, political considerations, comparative advantage, or differences in the income elasticity of demand among nations.
Comparative advantage. Remember, in trade, we're always wanting to do what we have the comparative advantage over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if we have the absolute, we always want the comparative advantage.
Yeah.
That is true.
Okay. After a country goes from disallowing trade in coffee with other countries to allowing trade in coffee with other countries, the domestic price of coffee will be greater than the world's price of coffee. The domestic price of coffee will be lower than the world price of coffee. The domestic price of coffee will equal the world price of coffee, or the world price of coffee does not matter. The domestic price of coffee prevails.
I chose
Sorry, which one?
Would it be B?
I
No,
chose
C.
third. Yeah, C, because it says the domestic price of coffee will equal the world price of coffee.
Yeah.
So why would it equal? Why? Because if they make it lower, they can create more income, and people won't go after the world price.
Yeah.
That is true, but this question
But
is just
suppliers always want to get the most bang for their buck.
Okay.
So they're going to want to max out, and whatever the world price is, that's what they're going to want to charge.
Okay.
Correct.
Scenario 9-1. The before trade domestic price of peaches in the United States is $40 per bushel. The world price of peaches is $52 per bushel. The U.S. is a price taker in the market for peaches. if trade in peaches is allowed in the United States, the United States will become an importer of peaches, will become an exporter of peaches, may become either an importer or exporter of peaches, but this cannot be determined, or will experience increases in both consumer surplus and producer surplus.
It's B, they'll export.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
it's better of peaches.
Trade enhances the economic well-being of a nation in the sense that both domestic producers and domestic consumers of a good become better off with trade, regardless of whether the nation imports or exports the good in question. The gains of domestic producers of a good exceed the losses of domestic consumers of a good, regardless of whether the nation imports or exports the good in question. Trade results in an increase in total surplus, or trade puts down pressure on the prices of all goods.
It's C.
Yeah,
Trade
there is a
increases the total surplus.
Okay.
The figure illustrates the market for tricycles in a country. If this country allows free trade in tricycles, consumers will gain and producers will lose. Consumers will lose and producers will gain. Both consumers and producers will gain, or both consumers and producers will lose.
Say consumers will gain and producers will lose because the price is below what it was. So the consumers are going to gain and the producers are going to lose because they're not going to be able to sell as many.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the producers will end up dealing with surplus then, right?
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I was looking at it the other way, so but I guess that makes sense. So
What did you
Yeah.
think?
no, I see that. I was
Yeah,
just
I was not sure with this one, but that makes sense if the world price is lower than the price they had before. Yeah, the one game the consumer.
Yes. The consumer is going to win because their price is going to be lower.
Yeah.
All right. When a country allows trade and becomes an exporter of goods, which of the following is not a consequence? The price paid by domestic consumers of the good increases. The price received by domestic producers of the good increases. The losses of domestic consumers of the good exceed the gains of domestic producers of the good, or the gains of domestic producers of the good exceed the losses of domestic consumers of the good.
I went for the last one here.
Remember, this is not a consequence.
Yeah. I
The
chose.
consequence when you're
Oh,
exporting
yeah.
means
Blah, blah,
you know you're getting to because your price is lower, so you're able to sell and make more money.
Mhm.
So this is where the consumers kind of lose out because the price is higher.
So the price paid by domestic consumers of the good increases. So that would be A, right?
No, C.
It
The
will be
losses of domestic consumers of the good exceed the gains of domestic producers of the good.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the consequence would be if it were a positive, the consequence would be the last one, and so the not a consequence would be C.
Yeah. Because the price paid by the domestic consumer will go up. Because if the world price is higher than what it was prior to trade, then that price is going to go up to what the world trade price is. So the other three are what does happen. C is what does not happen.
true. Okay.
Okay. With trade, the producer surplus is what? So I guess I'm doing the math for you right now.
So I come up with the first option 900. Are you getting the same?
Yes, that's what I got.
Yeah.
Because it's 300 times 6, because 2 to 8, 6,
Mhm.
and then divided by 2 and get you 900.
Yeah.
Wait, do that again?
Okay, because the producer surplus is between $2 and $8, and from 0 to 300. See
Okay.
that little small triangle right there? That's the producer surplus.
Okay.
So you take that 300 times 6, because that's the difference between 2 and 8, and then divide it all by 2.
306 divided by 8.
The surface of a triangle.
Okay.
Yeah.
The figure illustrates the market for calculators in a country. Without trade, consumer surplus is.
It's going to be B.
Yeah, because that's
845.
that's 130
How-
times.
How are you calculating this one, Travis, by getting 845?
Okay, you see where it basically makes the X right there without trade. That's the equilibrium price.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the consumer surplus is the triangle that is formed from that line. So from $15 to $18 to $28.
It's 15 right there.
So that's 13.
15 to 28.
28. So that's
Okay.
13.
You're taking this big triangle from 15 up to 18, which is the higher price.
Which is the highest price, yes.
Okay, and then multiply that by the quantity,
The
meaning from
quantity,
0 to
130.
130 divided by 2, because that one starts from 2, right?
It's always divided by 2 because the area of a triangle is always divided by 2. It's the base times half times the height.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. The figure illustrates the market for coffee in Guatemala. With trade, total surplus in the Guatemalan coffee market amounts to. So for this, in the surplus, would it be for the producer surplus? How would you figure that out? Would it be like from 30 to 90 or something like that?
Well, this is the total surplus.
Okay, so would that be 30 to 140?
So, well, yes, you can do it that way. The easier way is going to be go, because you're going to have 2 triangles. A is going to be its own separate triangle.
Okay.
B, D, G, F, and C form the other triangle.
B, D, G, F, and C. Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna want to you're gonna have to do 2 things. So the first one, 30 to 110. That's 80. And then you're gonna times that by 40. And then divide it by 2. It's going to give you 1,600. And then 110 to 140 for A, that's 30. Then you're going to times that by 18 and divide by 2 again, and that's going to give you 270. So your total is going to be, when you add them up, 1870.
1870.
Yes.
So you got the 30 to 110 going to 30, and then from 110 to 140 by 18, and then you add them up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clear enough. Thank you.
Yeah, because
that way it was kind of confusing for me.
yeah, like I said, this is the one where I had to go back in and I had to look at it and be like, okay, what's the total area? Okay, now I see how I'm gonna have to, 2 different triangles.
I had to draw it on a paper and then paint it to be able to. I was like, what? Yeah. To
I print mine off so I can just do the work right on it. I'm still old school. Computers. It's like, nah, I still like paper.
I like paper too. No worries.
Okay. When the country moves from free trade to trade and a tariff, consumer surplus decreases. Consumer surplus, what? Moves from free trade and a tariff, consumer surplus.
So then with that one, then you take him from 28 to 60 then.
Uh-huh.
Then multiply that by 40 divided by 2.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again?
Just clarifying, because the world price plus tariff starts at 28 and the highest price is 60. So it will be 32 multiplied by 40, correct?
Not 40. It'll go over to 64 because remember, we're making a triangle. That's
Wait,
the one thing to remember. If you look at this and you make the triangle and you realize that you're always making a triangle when it's a surplus, then you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to make all of my spots. So you go from 60, the difference between 60 and 28.
32 times 64.
32 times 64 divided by 2 is 1,024. Now, the world price before they put in the tariff, now you got to go down to 20. So that's 20. The 20 to 60 is 40, and then you're going to multiply it by 80 divided by 2. It's going to give you 1,600. So you're going to minus 1,024 from 1,600, which is going to be 576.
So that is 80.
So it is going to decrease by 576. Now, what we're going to look at is the producer surplus. Remember, the producer surplus is the bottom side. And so
so would it be from 0 to 28?
0 to 28.
Times 28. So
times
it's going to be 28.
Divided by 2.
That's going to give you 392.
392. Now, what you're going to look at is from 0 to 20, because when the world price plus tariffs went in, then
times
it
20
moved to line up. So times 20 divided by 2
is 200. And do we add them or subtract them?
Well, no.
Subtract.
Yeah, you want to have the difference.
Then the answer is B.
Then the answer is B. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
The nation of, excuse me if I say this wrong, Aquilonia has decided to end its policy of not trading with the rest of the world. When it ends its trade restriction, it discovers that it is importing rice, exporting steel, and neither importing nor exporting TVs. We can conclude that producer surplus in Aquilonia is now surplus is higher.
I chose A because if they will be exported, then they will produce more steel, rice, but unchanged in TVs.
Wait, it wouldn't be A. Because it says we can conclude that producer surplus is now, but it wouldn't be higher in steel because they're exporting steel. So it's not in steel, but it would be in rice. Higher in rice. Give me a second.
It's going to be lower because if they're importing, it means that the world price is lower than what they're producing. So they're going to get imports in. Where if they're exporting, means the price is higher. so they're going to get a better market. So they're going to want to, sell, at the world
Okay.
price.
Okay, but what about? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so gone. Sorry. You're right. It is probably A, right?
It is A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I completely mixed that up. I was thinking about consumer surplus instead of producer surplus.
Yeah. That's the one that gets you. You have to
Yeah.
stop and go, which one are they asking?
Again. Yes.
The figure below illustrates a tariff on the graph. Q represents quantity and P represents price. The dead weight loss created by the tariff is represented by the area. Dead weight.
That's D plus F, right?
D plus F, yes. Because those are the sections that aren't going to get filled, basically, is what it's saying.
Yeah.
Okay. The following diagram shows the domestic demand and domestic supply in a market. In addition, assume that the world price in this market is $40 per unit. Suppose the government imposes a tariff of $20 per unit. Relative to the free trade outcome, the imposition of the tariff. Do you guys want the options to you?
I have it as C. Decreases the import of the goods by 600 and increases domestic production of the good by 300 units.
Suppose the government.
Well, I did B, but that's the same, just vice versa.
Because like I said, I printed this off, so I drew the lines, and so from that I was able to get it. Without the lines, it kind of, just looking at it made it a little harder.
Yeah.
So when you put that line in, for the world price, it's like, okay, there's, because it goes from 600 to 1800, so 1200 is being imported in.
Mhm.
But when they put the tariffs in, now that reduces it by 600 because it only goes from 900 to 15,000 to 1500.
Correct.
And so, but our country, guy is, the producer for the country, well, he's going to produce 300 more. And that means we're only going to need to bring in another 300 to fit the same bill. So
Okay.
that's why it went totally down by 600.
Mhm.
And our guy is producing 300. And we're only going to import another 300.
Okay, that works for me. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. The figure illustrates the market for roses in a country. The amount of revenue collected by the government from tariff is.
So on this one I was confused because I couldn't remember, and this is maybe because I read it too fast, but I can't remember which of these is supposed to be the government revenue.
The government revenue is the difference between the world price plus the tariff, because the tariff is the tax. So that's what the government's getting.
That's what they get.
So when you see that up on the line where it meets at $3 and 200 for the quantity,
Yeah.
and 3 and 400, you take the difference between the 4 and the 2, and then you're going to multiply it by the difference between the world price and the world price plus the tariff. So here it's only 1, so the total is going to be 200.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if it would have been like when they added the tariff, if it would have been $4, then it would have been 200 times 2, because the difference between.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Here it's been pretty easy.
Okay.
This is one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was lenient on us because then the units and the numbers were smaller, but okay, get it. I get it now. Makes sense.
The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, was initiated in response to.
It's the high tariffs that were imposed during the Depression in the 1930s.
Okay. Okay. The infant industry argument is based on the belief that protecting industries when they are young will pay off later. Is based on the belief that protecting industries producing goods and services for infants is necessary if a country is to have healthy children.
That's
Has
a
the
pretty
support of most economists, or is an argument that is advanced by advocates of free trade.
I chose
That's the
A.
first one. Yeah.
It's A.
And the second one is great. I love that one.
Oh yes, yeah. That one's funny because you're like, definitely not that one.
Mhm.
Which of the following arguments for trade restrictions is often advanced? Trade restrictions make all Americans better off. Trade restrictions increase economic efficiency. Trade restrictions are necessary for economic growth. Trade restrictions are sometimes necessary for national security.
It's D.
Yeah.
They always talk about
Yeah, I
national
agree.
security with everything. Well, it's national security. We need to have it on steel.
Whack. Okay. And 1 second. My phone is being weird. Sorry. And finally, economists view the fact that Florida grows oranges, Texas pumps oil, and California makes wine as confirmation of the virtues of free trade, confirmations of infant industry argument, confirmation that free trade agreements are not necessary, or confirmation that specialization and absolute advantage works.
First one.
It's A.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is everyone good? Are we all ready to submit?
Ready to submit.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, passed. Yay! We got an A.
See, we needed Travis. That's what happened.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you guys for the clarifications with graphics. I was kind of confused with them, but thank you for explaining them. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
The book's not really good about explaining it.
I found that the videos are usually more useful for me. Like I would read the lesson and then I will watch the videos and then the videos will be definitely clearer.
Yeah, they start, clarifying what's going on.
yeah.
How long does it take for you guys to get through the group quizzes? I mean, not the group quizzes, like the actual homework assignments. Because I've been struggling with that a lot, actually. Just getting the hang of the whole system, because for a while, the program would close me out because it would say that that the assignments were done way beforehand, and they weren't. So I never got an email that said the dates were changed.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was kind of complicated. The first time for me, it took me like forever to understand like where things were, but then overall,
Yeah,
also-
you just have to remember everything's due. Yeah, the syllabus lies to you. I'll tell you that because I was following that. And I'm like, no, that says it's due on Friday. No, it was all due on Thursday.
Yeah. Tuesday, Thursdays.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the due dates.
Those are your due dates.
For homework and the extra credit, that's on Thursday.
That's on Thursday, due by midnight.
Yeah. So the group quiz and the preparation is Tuesday, and then the rest is on Saturday.
All right. Thank you.
yeah. This week, remember we have the practice proctored exam thingy.
Yeah, and that's really easy to do.
Yeah.
Already did that.
So
Yeah, I think it's like 3 or 4 questions, something like that.
okay, that's not too bad.
No, it's just basically to make sure that you can get on and you can do the proctoring.
The proctoring, yeah. Okay, so just question, guys. Do you want to meet next week at the same time than today? Does it work for all of you?
Yes.
I can meet at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays.
If we meet at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, I might be a little late because I have a different group meeting that's 7 to 8. So sometimes I might go a little
Okay.
longer.
So do you prefer then at 9?
Yeah, that 9 works for me.
Okay,
Mine
9's
works.
good for me.
Okay, so then keep on doing it on Tuesdays at 9. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll be submitting the link then for this discussion.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Kev.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you guys.